We are on a great expedition. We're going to be doing a bookstore crawl for my birthday. We're just visiting 3 bookstores over the course of a few hours. I have a list that I'm posting here or prepping here that will have the books that I'm looking for. I have some that I've had my eye on for a minute, like probably at least a year, and then some new releases that I have not been able to get from the library. So come with us on this journey for the next few hours. All right, so we just finished up our visit to Oxford Exchange, and I've forgotten how the books are set up in there because it's been probably like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years since I've been in there. And it was way before I actually got back into reading, so I wasn't really paying attention to the book selection. I was more paying attention to the food. But anyways, I was walking around and they had a decent selection. I saw quite a few books that I recognized that either I was interested in picking up or that I had, previously read in the past. But there are some that I made sure to check from my library apps to make sure that, if they had it, then I would, put it off for a little bit longer to pick it up because hardcover and new books in general are very expensive. So anyways, overall, I think it was a pretty decent selection. It was smaller than I remembered. So there were quite a few books that I was looking for that I didn't find. I had asked specifically for one book and they didn't have it. So I think going forward, I'll probably, if I'm really interested in a particular book that I know is pretty popular and I think is going to be there, I might, check it out, stop by. And honestly, because there is a great, I think 2 restaurants that are in there, and there are some other things you could do within the spot. Like if you're kind of just wanting to browse or pick it up, I think it's a pretty decent location to visit. So yeah, that was it. That's my assessment of Oxford Exchange. Now let's go on to our next location. All right, so the second bookstore that we visited was Black English Bookstore. I've been to this bookstore before, and the thing I love about this store is that they focus on Black authored books and, books by other people of color. I did pick up a few books, and I will share those books at the end of the video in a little mini book haul. But overall, I do recommend the bookstore if you're looking for books by Black authors primarily and specifically. I even found a book that my aunt wrote in the bookstore, which is pretty cool. So I've already read all of those books by her, so I wasn't going to pick that up. But I do recommend, any of the books that she's written. They're really good and really interesting. So yeah, next we are heading to our final bookstore of the day, and I'll share my thoughts on that store once we finish up. Okay, now it's time to check in on my husband to see how he's doing after 8 hours of shopping. No, just kidding. It was 5. But I think he did a great job.
of sticking in there with me and having a great attitude.
Okay, the final bookstore that we went to was Mojo's Books and Records. This is a used bookstore that is both obviously a record store and a bookstore. So I was looking through and was looking for specific books, obviously for my list, but also I was, looking at books that just piqued my interest based off of the cover or based off of the synopsis on the back of the book. And I found a few that I was really interested in picking up, but right before I was getting ready to head to the register, I did go and like check Libby and Cloud Library to see if they're available at my local libraries or on my online library system. And the 3 books I was looking for were available. So I decided to just hold off on them because they weren't the books that were on my list that I was really excited about getting. But right before we headed out, my husband did find a book, and I will share again that book at the end of the video. But I found a lot of great books at Mojo's. I saw books that I previously read that, eventually I would like to be able to purchase and then, add them to my collection at home. But right now I'm primarily trying to focus on books that I really am interested in that I haven't read yet, because I'm constantly reassessing my space or the amount of space that I have on my bookshelf. So yeah, now we're on our way, headed home, and I will do my mini book haul at the end of the video. See you very soon. All right, friends, so we are back from the bookstore crawl, and it is time for our book haul. I did not mean to rhyme, but I did. First off, this is not from a bookstore crawl, but this is one of my birthday gifts from my best friend Rachel, and she got me All That Is Secret by Patricia Raybon. This is a historical fiction, historical mystery that's set in the 1920s, and I believe it's in Chicago. Yes, Chicago, and it's actually set at a Bible college. So this is by a Christian author, and this is the first book in a series. I want to say there's 3 books in the series, and I've had my eye on this for a while, but I just haven't gotten around to it as far as purchasing it. And so I had that on my wish list of a book that I wanted to potentially read. So I'm looking forward to reading this pretty soon. I do have some books that are slated for my July TBR, but once I get done with those, I'll probably be picking up this one next. Okay, so I'm gonna go in order of the bookstores that I visited. And first at Oxford, I picked up 2 books, and I'm excited about both of them. So the first one that you saw in the clip, was The Kingdom of No Tomorrow by Fabian Josaphat. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And this is by a Haitian author who was born and raised in Haiti. And I believe this is set in the 1960s. And it's about the relationship between this particular main character and the Black Panthers. That's all I know. This is actually a July book club pick for the Children of the Diaspora book club that Ray the Reviewer is hosting. So I could not get it from the library. I couldn't find it in any of my library systems. And so I figured, I'm like, well, this is part of the book club pick. I wanted to make sure that I owned it so I could actually read it. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm always grateful to be able to find books by Haitian authors, by Caribbean authors, and I'm looking forward to reading this month. Next is an anticipated release for me. Well, not anticipated release, but I've been waiting for this book to come out on paperback so it can match the second book, or match the first book that I have, which is Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. I own There by Tommy Orange, and I believe this is the second book in the kind of, I guess it's a sequel to the first book. It's still set in the same, I guess, world, I should say, and it's related to a lot of the same characters that were in there. But I believe this is set, it says 1864, so it's set way in the past. All I know about this book is that it's connected to the first book, and I absolutely adored There. It's one of those books that you read and you understand why people love it so much. And so I was waiting until it came out on paperback, which was earlier this year, to pick it up. And so yes, I own it now. I'm really excited to read it and to eventually share my review with you all. So yeah, that was from Oxford Exchange. Next, I checked out Black English Bookstore, and I got 2 books from there. And the first one is Seraph on the Swanee by Zora Neale Hurston. This is a book I had never heard of before. I've heard about a lot of Zora's other well-known works like Barracoon and obviously Their Eyes Were Watching God. I've read that before and I really enjoyed it. And so I was looking through the collection of books that they had by Zora Neale Hurston, and this one was one that I couldn't find at the library at all. And so it's little known, or lesser known, I should say. So, and I read the little blurb in the front of the book, and it sounds like essentially what the book is about a couple who meet, fall in love despite what the female main character expected was going to happen. And Hurston explores the evolution of a marriage full of love and a woman in search of her place in the world. So that kind of got me. It was a not similar description, but it reminded me of Their Eyes Were Watching God and how Janie was processing what it means to grow up and become a woman, and what it means to fall in love, what it means to be loved within a marriage, and to love yourself but also love those that are around you, and how to, really be truly appreciated. So some of those themes, just from that first little blurb in the front of the book, kind of reminded me of that. So, and this cover is so pretty. Like, it's a work of art for sure. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this one. I'm always grateful to be able to read more classics. So yeah, that was one of my picks that I picked up. And the other one was My Selma, True Stories of a Southern Childhood at the Height of the Civil Rights Movement by Willie Mae Brown. I had seen the cover of this book on Instagram before from a couple different people. And it intrigued me, but I never kind of left my mind. I was kind of caught up with obviously a lot of the new releases and other books that were in the historical fiction genre that I was interested in. And then I read the first part of the blurb of this book, and what I'm gathering from that is this is actually almost like a first-hand account, but not really. So this is from Willie Mae Brown's perspective. She actually grew up during the 1960s civil rights movement, and particularly in Selma, Alabama. And we get it from like her perspective. This kind of reminds me, there was this movie that I am not remembering right now, but there was a movie that I watched when I was a kid, and it had Journey Smollett in it. I'm gonna put a picture right here of the picture of like the movie poster or something like that. So maybe you guys recommend it, because I can't think of the name right now. But essentially it was from this young girl's perspective of how she, grew up during the civil rights movement, and specifically in Selma, Alabama during, Bloody Sunday and all these different events that took place, meeting Martin Luther King Jr. and other civil rights leaders and all that type of stuff. It was such a great movie. I also actually want to find it and rewatch it soon, because I watched it literally when I was in middle school, and I haven't rewatched it since. But such a really great movie, and it was very impactful for me as a kid. And I feel like this is kind of going to be a similar feeling that I'm going to get reading this book. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I actually was excited about the books that I picked up. These were not on my list, obviously, as you've probably seen, but they were books that one, wasn't able to find at the library, and two, books that really did intrigue me just based off of reading the synopsis of the back of the book. So yeah, another two great books. And then lastly, I got one book from Mojo's Bookstores and Books and Records, and this is the book that my husband saw that he recommended for me to pick up, and it is The Gilded Age: A Tale of Today by Mark Twain and Charles Dudley Warner. This was literally, I just was walking past, my husband was like, oh, aren't you watching like a movie, or aren't you watching a show that has the same title? And I'm like, yes, I am. And this, I believe this is what, Mark Twain came up with the phrase, or coined the phrase, the Gilded Age, to describe that time period between, I think it was like the 1880s to about like the early 1900s. And yeah, like it's a satire of that time period of like how, the robber barons and their families, how much money they spent, how much opulence there was, but then also the great wealth disparity that was happening during that time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this, because I'm always loving a good like satire or a critique of a certain time period that's usually romanticized, I would think. Even as much as I love watching the Gilded Age, and I know that there is aspects of it that is very romanticized, and even in period dramas in general, but I do appreciate like critiques of that time period and the things that were going on at the time. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to this because I loved, can I reach it? I think I could reach it, hold on. Oh, yeah, I loved The Way We Live Now by Anthony Trollope, and this was a kind of similar thing. It was a critique of the aristocracy during the 1870s in Europe and what was going on, and essentially Anthony Trollope's view of morality and how morality was viewed in society. So really love this book, and so I'm looking forward to seeing if this one is good. I've never read a book by Mark Twain before, so curious to see what my thoughts will be when I read that. So yes, this is my, there we go. Okay, so this is my bookstore, my mini birthday bookstore birthday haul, and I am very happy with my selections and my gifts this year. It's small but mighty, and actually that's what I need right now. I didn't really envision getting an influx of books. I actually don't know. I only got like 2 books that were from my list, but it actually worked out because I left those stores and I realized like, okay, I'll just get them other ways. You know, I don't have to just like purchase a book for the sake of purchasing books just because they sound a little bit interesting or that I might be able to get from the library, but I just want to own it. Like I don't have that same, I don't know, that same drive as much as I used to. But I have a whole video planned about talking about how much my buying habits and my reading habits even have changed since doing my book buying ban, which I will probably share with you guys in the future. So yeah, thank you so much for being on this journey with me and my husband as we were going around to different bookstores today. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you like this video. If you like this video, please like it and feel free to subscribe if you'd like to join the fam. And I will see you in the next one. Take care.